Okay. Hey, I'm Ross.
And I'm Jonathan.
Hey, this week we're going to dive into a conversation about working together.
So over the past 7 months, we have explored what we've called Roots of a Flourishing City. So what does it take for a city to flourish, and what does it mean for the church to be an integral part of that flourishing? And a big part of that conversation has been calling and capacity, understanding what is the calling of the church and the calling of us as individual Christians, and what is our unique capacity, either as individuals or as specific communities of believers, to pursue that calling in the specific place that God has put us. And now we want to move into a conversation about what it looks like to work together. And this conversation is really important because our overall calling that we all share as Christians is much bigger than our capacity as any one Christian or any one church congregation.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's important to think about all the things we've talked about before, like your church's vision should be big enough to include the transformation of your city. And if it does, well, then you have to recognize that you can't do it alone. So your vision has to be big enough for you to think, man, we got to pull on some other people. Like, we want to work with other churches. We want to work with other people in the city who are after the same thing, which is seeing Evansville be a flourishing city. You could call it an apologetic of unity. When people see churches working together, it has a pretty big impact on them because it's so rare, to be honest.
Right.
Sad reality, but kind of true. And that's why we're talking about this whole church idea and impacting our city together. And that's why it's important to work together.
Right. In fact, a recent study on evangelism that we looked at said that 31% of lapsed Christians, or people who maybe grew up in church and then left, and then 29% of religious non-Christians, so members of other faiths or who would describe themselves as spiritual but not necessarily Christian, around 30% of both of those groups say that they would be more interested in learning more about Christianity if they saw churches working together more in their community.
Yeah, it's really important. And I think it's we don't really think about it that way very often. But it can be evangelistic, it can be an apologetic. It demonstrates the value that the church brings to the city when we work together.
Yeah. Another part of this conversation is not just working together with other churches, though, but also working together with other organizations that aren't necessarily Christian. So why is that important?
Well, I think that's really important for a couple of reasons. One is it gives us an opportunity to demonstrate how our faith actually moves us into the same space as people who don't have that faith. So we care about the same things. We just maybe motivated out of a different reason. And that gives us a chance to share that. I think that's really important. And then the other one is we have greater chance of success when we work with people who are pursuing things that we would say God cares about, even if they aren't coming from a faith perspective that we share. And so if we want to get the job done and we want to see this thing move forward, we really need to work together. We need to collaborate.
Yeah.